welcome to the deep dive. We've got a stack of sources here on, well, a really critical story right now. The German automobility crisis. And this isn't just, a headline about selling fewer cars. It feels more like a fundamental identity crisis for one of the world's biggest industrial powers.
It really does. Our sources paint this picture of a nation caught sort of between its amazing combustion engine past and this, well, uncertain software-driven future.
Right.
The whole German auto sector, it's the backbone of their economy, right, is grappling with massive disruption, electrification, global competition, needing totally new skills.
So our mission today is to unpack that central conflict. How does a country famous for perfecting the mechanical engine handle this rapid government push shift to EVs and autonomous driving?
Yeah, and what are the hidden costs? Why are customers maybe pushing back a bit?
Exactly. And the core tension that keeps coming up in the sources is this paradox. Political goals trying to force change.
Deadlines, bans.
Clashing with industry inertia. And maybe most importantly, what the customer actually needs day to day.
That's the perfect starting point. Let's dig into how policy is trying, or maybe forcing, this shift.
Okay, so the sources point to a pattern in Germany. A tendency to lean on political prohibitions, like the eventual ban on selling new combustion engine cars, rather than maybe focusing primarily on huge systems of reward.
That's a really critical distinction, especially when you look globally. Think about China, South Korea, Japan. They really sped up innovation, yeah. But they used massive incentives.
Like what specifically?
Huge subsidies, tax relief for buyers and makers, really aggressive state-funded infrastructure rollouts. Germany uses incentives too, of course, but maybe not as consistently or as forcefully.
And that inconsistency, the sources really hammer this point. It creates massive market uncertainty, which is just toxic for the kind of long-term investment you need here.
Exactly. Look at the Umwelt bonus, that purchase premium for electric cars. It helped, definitely.
But then,
bam, it got cut abruptly. December 17th, 2023. Almost no warning. Wow.
And that kind of sudden policy swing, well, it damages more than just sales figures for that month. It sends a signal to consumers. Can we trust that this support will stick around?
Right. Is the government really committed long-term? If people doubt that, they hesitate on buying a car, which is a huge purchase for most.
Absolutely. Political unreliability scares consumers.
So while policy creates this wobble at the top, the transition itself is hitting the workforce hard. Let's talk about the human cost, the structural changes.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty stark. Studies from Prognos and the VDA suggest up to 186,000 jobs just in the auto sector could be gone by 2035.
186,000, that's huge.
It is. And it's not just layoffs, it's wiping out entire skill sets, skills built over decades, the core of German manufacturing.
And this isn't theoretical, is it? The FO Institute noted manufacturing jobs already dropped, 9% since 2013?
With over 51,000 production jobs expected to be cut by mid-2025. It's happening now.
And the reason is just automation? Partly, but it's simpler than that, almost brutally simple. Making an electric motor. It's just less complex, fewer moving parts compared to a high-precision combustion engine.
So you need fewer skilled workers.
Exactly. The very thing Germany was famous for, that mechanical genius, suddenly becomes, an economic challenge in this specific shift.
Okay, so the government's using more stick than carrot, and the first impacts are on the factory floor. But if the cost is that high, you'd expect the market to be racing towards EVs to justify it, right?
I think so.
But Section 2 of our sources shows a different picture. Market reality seems to be resistance.
That's right. You've got major players, huge names like VW, Porsche, reporting weaker EV demand than they expected, or maybe hoped for.
Even while the pressure's on them to cut back on traditional engines.
Right. It's a tough spot. And it's not just economics, is it? It's also cultural.
How so?
Well, Germany has this deep, deep emotional connection to the car. The classic car, the Autobahn experience. It's part of the national identity, almost.
So you have this tension, progress versus tradition. A really difficult political balancing act.
And what's fascinating, according to the sources, is how this plays out when people actually buy a car. The deciding factor right now. It's overwhelmingly practicality, not morality.
That feels surprising, doesn't it, given all the talk about climate change?
It does. But the sales data suggests people aren't primarily thinking CO2 reduction when they sign that lease. They're thinking about Alltagsstauglichkeit.
Everyday usability.
Exactly. What's the upfront price? What's the real range, not just the advertised one? Is it reliable? And crucially, where can I charge it easily and quickly?
If the EV is way more expensive or a hassle to charge on a road trip or feels less proven,
Then the customer makes a rational, practical choice. They stick with what they know works reliably for them right now.
and we can see how this works elsewhere. China didn't get its huge EV market share by appealing to morals, did it?
Not primarily, no. They made EVs practically cheaper through subsidies and tax breaks, and they built out charging stations like crazy.
So the EV became the convenient, logical choice.
And demand just exploded. It shows that the customer really is the driver, you know? Acceptance comes when the tech is attractive, easy, and affordable, not just because someone says you should buy it.
Okay, that covers the EV transition happening now. But let's shift gears to the next big thing. Autonomous driving, AD. This seems to be where things get even more complicated.
This is maybe the most concerning point in the sources. There's this observation. They are cutting jobs in autonomous driving, but that would be the chance of the future.
So they're pulling back. Why? If AD is the future, why cut investment now? VW ended its big Argo AI venture in 2022.
Yeah, it's a classic short-term pain versus long-term gain problem. Three main reasons come up.
Okay.
One, the tech for really high-level autonomy, like level 4 or 5, just isn't reliably market-ready yet. It's still very complex, very expensive.
2.
Regulatory uncertainty. Governments everywhere are still figuring out the legal side. Who's responsible if an autonomous car crashes? Big questions, no clear answers yet.
And 3.
Cost. Just astronomical development costs with basically zero revenue coming in from it right now. And meanwhile, they still need profits from selling traditional cars to fund all the EV research.
So that really highlights this identity crisis, doesn't it? Germany's strength was always mechanical engineering, building the machine. Now, the strength needs to be in software engineering, AI, automation. That's a massive pivot.
It's like asking a world-class, century-old factory making precision engines to suddenly become a Silicon Valley software house overnight. It's a huge leap.
And AD would create new jobs, right? AI trainers, data scientists, software people.
Absolutely, different kinds of jobs. But the country, the companies, even the education system, they're struggling to shift from hardware excellence to software leadership fast enough. It's a cultural change, too,
So companies are stuck. They need the money from combustion engines today.
to pay for the software and AD of tomorrow.
But if they focus too much on today, they risk missing the boat on tomorrow's tech. It sounds like an impossible balancing act.
It's incredibly difficult, and that leads us perfectly into the next big constraint, the thing holding everything back, EVs and AD alike, infrastructure.
Right. The sources really hit this hard. One quote was something like, "Autos are not interesting for the masses if there is no infrastructure." Simple as that.
It really is foundational, and we often talk about charging stations, but there are actually two major infrastructure problems in Germany, according to our sources.
Okay, what's the first one?
First is the one we know, charging infrastructure. Yes, it's growing, but it's not enough. It's patchy good in cities, maybe not so good elsewhere. And standardization is still an issue, different plugs, different payment systems. It causes frustration, range anxiety.
Okay, so charging is one. What's the second, maybe less obvious deficit?
That's the digital road infrastructure. This is absolutely critical for autonomous driving. We're talking sensors embedded in the road, reliable 5G coverage everywhere along the highways, smart traffic lights, networks connecting everything.
And that's just not there.
Largely non-existent in a comprehensive way. You can't have truly autonomous cars navigating complex environments without the environment itself being digitally aware and communicative.
There was a great example in the source material about this. The construction site, the Bostel.
Yes. The perfect example. It shows the gap between human intuition and current AI.
How so?
An autonomous car needs clear digital information. But think about a typical German construction zone. Temporary signs, maybe confusing lane markings, workers directing traffic. It's messy.
Humans figure it out. We adapt.
We adapt intuitively, but in AI, it gets confused if the signs aren't digitally readable, if there's no network telling it caution, temporary lane shift ahead, it might just safely stop. The road needs to talk to the car digitally.
Which isn't happening consistently.
Oh, but-
And meanwhile, other countries.
Exactly. You look at places like Japan, South Korea, Singapore, they're actively designing and testing smart roads with sensors and communication grids built right in. They're planning for this connected future.
It forces a whole rethinking of what a car is, doesn't it?
Completely. The sources frame it perfectly. The car used to be hardware with some software. Now, increasingly, it's software with hardware around it. The value is shifting.
From the engine to the operating system.
Precisely. Software becomes the digital highway the car drives on.
So if we need this digital highway, where does the transition realistically start? What's the first step?
Well, the sources suggest the most logical starting point is self-driving on highways, limited controlled environments.
Like those pilot projects.
Yeah.
The A9 Autobahn Digital Test Felt.
Exactly like that. You have high-definition max, hopefully reliable 5G, fewer unexpected events than city driving. Cars can drive autonomously in these defined zones much sooner.
Which implies that a lot of the training for full autonomy needs to happen virtually first.
Absolutely critical. They need digital twins, virtual replicas of cities, of Autobahn sections, to simulate millions, even billions of miles and scenarios. Heavy rain, snow, sudden braking, accidents, that tricky construction site. You test the AI relentlessly in the virtual world before it's safe enough for the real one. That requires massive computing power, massive software investment.
This has been, wow, a really deep look at a complex crisis. It touches everything: technology, jobs, culture, infrastructure.
It really does. And if we boil it down, the core message from the sources seems to be the customer is king or queen. Widespread acceptance hinges on making this new mobility work easily and affordably in their daily lives.
So it depends on the infrastructure, the price, the convenience.
Which brings us back to that key strategic point from the sources. Not prohibitions implement e-mobility, but infrastructure.
Right. If you reward people who build it, instead of punishing them, the world moves in the right direction.
Yeah.
It puts the focus squarely on enabling the change, not just mandating it.
Exactly.
So a final thought for you, our listener, to consider. The future of German mobility isn't just about the engine type or even self-driving tech itself.
The real question might be, can Germany build this new Autobahn, the digital one made of data, software, and networks, fast enough to keep pace with global rivals who are already laying down that digital pavement?